Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So this is a little bit different for me because I only have one other kind of like sit down video. So I want to do more of these, but this video was highly requested, highly anticipated. How did I get into tech? So before I even start out with this video, this is a big disclaimer, Just because I did it in this way, shape, form, or whatever the case may be, does not mean that this is gonna happen for you. This doesn't mean that this is the exact way, process, form. Like, no, this is how I did it. This is how I went about it. And yes, the journey has been interesting. It's been, I've learned a lot, but this is not specifically the way that you have to do it. And there's so many routes and avenues into tech that it's just, you know what I'm saying? Like my specific individual journey or, what I went through, like my story may be completely different than yours if you're interested in joining tech, working in tech, or specifically becoming a Scrum Master. So if you want to learn about how I became a Scrum Master at the age of 23, well, actually it was at the age of 22, keep watching this video. All right, y'all. So like I said in the disclaimer, this, like my story is crazy. It's wild. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I wouldn't have it any other way because that's just who I am. So if you see me looking down, it's because I have some notes on like just things that like people have asked me throughout my time, and also just in conversation when I spoke about what I do for work. Also a collection of questions that I had gotten when I did speaking engagements. So I've had 2 speaking engagements where I was on a panel and I was specifically talking about what I do for work. And one of the panels also included like my side hustle, which is YouTube. So yeah. So these are questions that I've just collected over time, or this is just the scenic route that I thought would be important to include in this video. So the first thing that I really want to start with, and the first thing that I actually have written down was, where was I before tech? I think the before story is super important because it's also your why story at the end of the day. So before I got into tech, if you guys are following me on my other social media, specifically Instagram, you'll see in my bio that I am a Rutgers alum. Two times, boo boo, not one, but 2. So I graduated in 4 years with my undergraduate degree from Rutgers University in public administration. And then in my 5th year, I graduated with my master's in public affairs and administration. So let's just start out with like going into college. And just in general, like, because a lot of people are like, well, like, what was your major? Like, that was such a big question for me, was like, what was your major? What were you doing? Honestly, when I started school, I really wanted, well, before I even started college, I always thought that I was going to become a nurse practitioner or like some sort of like doctor because my family will always make jokes like, oh, like Erica is the doctor in the family. She has that hospitality feel, like that's going to be where she's at. Until I actually did an internship at North Beth Israel, and I was like, I am not gonna be a nurse. Like that's not my bag. That's not my vibe. I'm not feeling that. When I was actually there for our orientation over the program for like the internship, like the person who was running the internship and like bringing the students there, they're actually what you call public administrators. So it's like they actually run the hospital. They may do the philanthropic, I said philanthropic. Is it philanthropic or is it philanthropic? Basically, like, when people do donations, they help with that. Like, they're basically an administrator at the hospital. So they basically make sure the hospital is flowing. So not only just like products coming to the hospital, but just overall, like, how are the workers feeling? Maybe potentially overseeing HR. Like, I was like, I want to do that. I want to be in the background, behind the scenes, pulling the strings. Like, that's what I wanted to do. So I just wanted to work with people in general. I didn't really know what. So when I came into college, I was actually a sociology major. So as a sociology major, and actually for a bit. I actually took a couple of classes because I wanted to go into sex therapy. So that's also a fun fact about me. If you didn't know, I took a few classes at Rutgers that had to do with sexual therapy and just family dynamics in general, because I thought about therapy for a bit. I thought about therapy and counseling. So anywho, so when I came into Rutgers, my major was sociology, with a minor in social justice, because I got a scholarship through the Honors Living and Learning program. So it kind of just like, to me, it made sense, because I'm like, sociology is like the study of people. Like, but when I got into a lot of the sociology classes, I'm like, oh, this is just very surface level. It's just like, why do people do what they do? Like, does economics affect people? Like, of course, like, just think, like, just regular things and common knowledge. And I was like, this is not really the work that I wanted to do. So at Rutgers University, Newark, I noticed that they had a public administration major, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. Like, all the classes aligned, all of the people, the teachers, like everything just made sense. And then I seen that they also had a 5-year program, and I'm like, oh, and I get to leave with my master's, because in my mind, I'm like, the work that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to need more education. I'm going to need higher education. So like, I honestly, I went in like many other students in college, like believing that like I need to have all of these degrees in order to get a high paying job, or to be more successful, or to get more money. So yeah, I was like, perfect. This is great. This is amazing. It aligns with my minor. Like, I'm doing great. So while I was there, I actually worked various jobs, but specifically in my senior year, I landed a job working with the university through Newark. So basically working with students and, for instance, like getting them into college, letting them know, making them knowledgeable about the college process, just school in general, and just enrichment programs. That's what I started working in. And I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. Like, if I don't get any money in the world, which I didn't think I would, like, I didn't think I would be making anywhere in 6 figures when I had graduated college, or while even in college. I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to work with students. I want to work with students specifically in Newark, because that's where I'm from. And like, this is amazing. This work is needed, and like, I see the benefit and the impact that I have on my students. So I was specifically working there, and I thought I had made it. Like, I thought that based on the interview, based on the job description, based on what we had talked about, I was like, yes, I made it. I don't need to work anywhere else. Like, I'm gonna move up here. Like, in a year when I graduate, I'm gonna have this position here. No. When I got there, I realized that they just wanted my ideas, and they just didn't want to pay me for my ideas. I realized that they wanted my ideas, but they didn't want what came behind it, which was the implementation. So it was like they wanted to half-ass my ideas that I had for the students. And I just really didn't appreciate that, because I'm like, these students, they're here because they need our help. And like, essentially that's the reason why this program was created. So, and I really thought that since a university was backing a program like this, that the funding that we were being given would be going to the students. No, just no. So while I was there, I was not having a good time. Like, I honestly became overworked because there wasn't as much staff. So I was doing various jobs and getting paid so little. They ended up like cutting back my pay as well. So it wasn't working out. It really wasn't working out. I wasn't happy, and I was just overall getting turned off from the job and the position. So that actually brings us to the next question that I have written down, which is a question that so many people have asked me, was like, what made you take that leap to like learn something new? Because realistically, like, learning something new as an adult is hard. Like, if you ask anyone, like, learning a new language or learning a new skill, it's not something that, well, people do pick up on things easily, but I don't think I just pick up on things easily. So I think that what made me take the leap was the fact that I wasn't feeling valued in the job I was currently at, and the fact that what specifically I wanted to do in tech was basically what I had been doing my whole entire life, like supporting other people and making sure production was good. Like, you know, these are things that I do in my regular jobs that can be translated into technical terms. So, yeah, I was like, oh, this is that. this is that. Oh, this is that. So I also wanted to plug in what is the definition of a Scrum Master, because a lot of people are like, what is a Scrum Master? What does a Scrum Master do? So I just pulled up, like, you know, from Scrum Alliance, like the definition of a Scrum Master, because my definition can be different from anybody else's. But a Scrum Master is a facilitator of an agile development team. They are responsible for managing the exchange of information between team members. So that's basically my job. I'm a facilitator. I facilitate meetings. I facilitate the flow of information. I facilitate all of the, like, literally I facilitate a team. I make sure the team is good. At the end of the day, if a team needs something, they're coming to me because I'm a resource in that way. So with that being said, that was basically what I was doing in my regular jobs. I was always a resource. Like, I was a resource to students. I was a resource to my boss. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, these are things that I naturally do. So what could be the difference? The next question that I actually have down was, how did you convince yourself that this was the right path? Because I know that there's so many jobs in tech. So you can be a product owner, you can be a Scrum Master, you can be a release train engineer. There's so many jobs out there in tech. So what specifically, like I said, made me believe that a Scrum Master was the right path? Again, it was the fact that I felt like all of the jobs that I had previously done, they directly aligned with the itinerary of a Scrum Master. They directly align. Like, these are the same things that I'm doing in my normal job, so it wouldn't be that much of a change of perspective for me. And I feel like just overall in general, I was just tired. I was just tired of being tired. Honestly, I was tired of being tired. I was tired about complaining about my job, because I was definitely one of those people who were like, oh, gotta go to work again today. Like, you know, it started to become that thing where it's like I hated what I was doing, and I never saw myself as one of those people who hate what they do. Like, I don't want to get up every day and be like, oh, well, I need a check. Like, I would quit a job. Like, if y'all don't really know me like that, but like, you can ask some of my close friends, if I'm not happy or I'm not sufficient in the place that I'm at, I'ma quit and I'ma just find something else. Like, that was always my mentality. So yeah, I was like, the fuck, like, I don't like where I'm at. I don't like what I'm doing. I don't like my boss. I don't like the people that I work with. So I'm gonna do something else. I had a hair on my face. I was like, you ever have like a hair on your face and you're like, what is going on? Okay, so the next question was, what was your process? So this is also a big question, because a lot of people are like, well, like, did you just start applying? Like, no. You need to be trained, you need to be certified, and you need to know what the hell you're talking about. Because I've seen so many people, even with my few jobs that I've worked in Scrum, people get hired. Sometimes the interview is easy. People are just naturally good interviewers, but when they get on the job, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're talking about, and they're leaving within 4 weeks. They're leaving within a month. Like, they're getting fired. So no, I took an 8-week training course, and it happened twice a week. For 8 weeks. And it happened at night. So imagine, like, I was in school because I got certified when I was in undergrad. So imagine I was in school, I had my regular classes, I was still working the job that I didn't like, and then twice a week at night, I would be working. I would be in a training course. And then sometimes I would also have night classes, because in undergrad, I started my graduate courses as well. So for my MPA, so I would have a night class, and then I would literally finish my night class and then hop on for the training course. So it was like, I was tired. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was tired. I would also say that in addition to the 8-week training course, I was doing outside work. So a lot of people think that, like, oh, the training course is gonna just bring me so far. No, I was researching materials, I was reading articles, I was immersing myself in the work so that it made sense to me. Like, I wasn't just in class being like, okay, well, he said this is the definition. Like, no, my brain doesn't work like that. So I made sure I was surrounding myself with material such as like podcasts and YouTube videos, just to make sure that I knew what the fuck I was actually talking about. So after I graduated and I got certified, I interviewed for about 2 months, like 2 months straight. There was false hope interviews. So what I did was I signed up on LinkedIn, updated my LinkedIn profile, all that good stuff. And while I was there, you're getting contacted by recruiters because a lot of these jobs are contract positions at times. I was actually interviewing for 2 months. I was interviewing for 2 months straight. 2 months. So whether I was interviewing and I just didn't get it, or I was just specifically talking with a recruiter, 2 months straight, until I landed one of my first positions and I accepted the offer. They extended me the offer, and my first offer was for $90K. So I know a lot of people are gonna be like, what? $90K? Girl, what? But in the world of Scrum, that is like middle range, because sometimes you can make way less. I know Scrum Masters they're like, girl, I was only making 75, or I was only making 60, or whatever the case may be. And then there's Scrum Masters who make 140 plus. So getting the $90K, I was like, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna take all of this experience in, and hopefully if I decide to go back onto the job market, I can find something else. Which I did eventually go back onto the job market again, because I just wasn't happy with the company that I was working at, specifically seeing how I was literally the only black, I was the only person of color. And then on top of that, I was the only woman at the time. So it was just like, oh, I don't like this. So oftentimes it was just like a lot of times it was conflict of interest at many times, and I just felt like I wasn't being heard, or whatever the case may be. So I say all that to say that just because, you get a salary or whatever the case may be, or you get an offer, that doesn't mean that you necessarily want to stay there. Just because you get an offer doesn't mean you want to stay at a company. So I would always say to keep your LinkedIn active, keep your resume always up to date, and everything you do at that company, take a note of. I would also say more advice in general, because now we're transitioning into the advice section of this video. I would say take all of the free trainings that your company offers, and also take all of the trainings that your company pays for. Like if they're offering it, pay for it, because that's elevation within itself. I would also say ask questions, because I know a lot of people, they have a thing about like asking questions. They're like, I don't want to look stupid, or whatever the case may be. I don't care. At the end of the day, you are never going to say that Erica didn't ask a question, or Erica didn't try to understand what you were saying, because that's also just a skill in general to become a Scrum Master. You need to ask questions. You want to know, you want to be in the know, and you want to be able to help and fix any bottlenecks or any type of impediments. So in general, that's where I was at. I was like, oh, I want to ask questions. So I was asking questions. I was beating down the pavement. I was like, I need to know. I need to know now, because it's not going to work out later. So yeah, that is my intro video into how I got into tech. I know that people probably want more videos on like what it means to be a Scrum Master, the day in the life of a Scrum Master. If that's specifically what y'all want, I guess I can make those. But yeah, again, this is my journey into tech. It doesn't always work like that, because I know some people who may graduate from their training course and then for months be looking for a job or a position. Or I know some people, they can literally finish with their training course and then the next week they have an interview and they got the job. So just because my path or my journey went that way doesn't necessarily mean yours will. And I would also say to a last piece of advice is to never give up, because I know like so many people that were in my training class, literally only 2 of us got jobs from my training class, and there was about 10 people in our class, and out of those 10 people, only 2 of us got jobs. And it's because people get frustrated with the process, or they start to like doubt themselves, or they start to give up, or they just don't have the motivation. So I would say like continue to be motivated, continue to know what your why is, because your why is what's going to drive you and motivate you and push you further than any other candidate that's applying. So again, thank you guys so much for watching my second ever sit down video. I don't know if it's the lighting or whatever. I was feeling it, I'm not gonna lie. And then maybe I need to do more topics or whatever the case may be, but that was my way into Scrum and into tech and knocking into the tech world. So again, if you guys have any other type of videos that you want to see from me, specifically about what it means to be a Scrum Master or tech in general, let me know in the comments and I'll think about it.